And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Little Town, which is kind of a weird name since there's a very big hit game out this year from AEG called Tiny Towns. This one is Little Town from Yellow Games. Little Town is a worker placement game where you'll be placing your workers out on a board where they will collect resources, build buildings, and then use those buildings to get victory points. That's really straightforward what the game is. Here's how it plays. The board is blank at the beginning of the game, and you're going to put a bunch of buildings down here. These are the buildings that they recommend that you start with, although you can pick randomly, put them out, draft tiles to put out. It's up to you as players. Each player is going to get some workers and some buildings, and you're going to play over 4 rounds. One person's going to be the start player, and during a round, a player is going to put out a worker. And by the way, the number of workers you have depends on the number of players that are in the game. So the more players, for example, with 4 players, you get 3 workers. With 2 players, you get 5. On your turn, you're going to place a worker either on the board on an empty space or down here in a construction yard. When you place them in an empty space, you're going to check every adjacent area next to them. And if there's these spots on the board, you're going to get resources. So woods give a wood resource here, and this gives a fish. If I'd placed a worker here, I'd get a fish for being next to the lake here. I'd also get a fish for being diagonally adjacent to that lake, and a wood here. If I was up here, I get a fish and a stone. 2 stone. Wood, fish. Now, once buildings are on the board, players will also can use that building. So for example, this building here lets me change 2 wood into 3 victory points. This building here gives me 2 coins. If I went here, I'd get 2 coins, 2 wood, and a fish. But the way the buildings come out on the board, you go to the construction area and you simply pay the cost. So this one costs 1 wood, 1 stone. I put it on the board in any empty spot and put my house on to show that it's mine. I can use that building for free. But if one of my opponents uses that building, they have to pay me a coin to do so, or they can't use that building. So you pay your opponents 1 coin for each building of theirs that you use. Some buildings have no use, like this building here is simply just worth 10 points. Other buildings let you convert things. This lets you change 2 coins into 2 stones, 2 of anything into 2 of anything else, 2 stones into 5 points, 2 wood into 3 points. This just simply gives you 2 points. So it's up to you which buildings you're going to use as the game goes by, and more buildings are going to get built on the board. After everyone places their workers, you pass the start player token, move to the next round. After 4 rounds, whoever has the most points is the winner. Players also have 2 objective cards. As soon as you accomplish this, you can reveal it and score the points for it. Spend at least a resource cube that you got on the same turn. Get victory points from at least 2 buildings in the same turn. I do these, I show everybody, I get 2 points. That's pretty much the whole game, except at the end of a round, you also must feed each of your workers. Each worker must be fed a fish or a wheat. Of the 4 resources in the game, there's wheat, wood, stone, and fish. So there's a lot of buildings here you can build that just basically are wheat fields that give you wheat. So there's a whole pile of these here. You need to spend those. For each one that you can't do, you lose 3 victory points. You want to make sure that you can feed everybody. After everyone has done that, you pull your workers off the board and you start the next round. You try to get a lot of points here on the scoring track. If you go past 60 points, you can take one of these 60-point tokens to help you remember. I gotta say, the components for the game are okay. I mean, these are cubes, but I mean, I don't know why. Again, with the way games are these days, I wouldn't have minded like fish and wood and stone. It just would have looked a little nicer. Cubes are okay. The tiles themselves, as the board fills up, looks really nice out there, but there's nothing really to differentiate this. I don't mind these guys look pretty cool. I think that guy is holding like a shovel or something. He looks like a lumberjack, honestly. But these work well, and the symbology is not hard to figure out. There's some coins. Again, the game is fine. It doesn't look bad. The rule book's pretty easy to understand. It just doesn't really stand out on the table. I really like the basic concept of Little Town. I really like to place a worker on the board and then you get everything around you. That's interesting. It's an interesting spot to put people. Like at the beginning of the game, there's several spots where if you place them, you get 3 resources. And then as buildings come out on the board, there's even, you know, like maybe the first building I build is the grain. So now there's a spot where I can get 4 resources. But someone else might go there, but they give me a coin. You never get upset when someone uses your building. So that concept itself, fantastic. It's the best part of this game and it's really neat. Unfortunately, the rest of the game doesn't measure up enough to make the game that interesting. Yes, you get these resources. Yes, you do the whole tired, I need to feed my people, fine, whatever. And yes, get wood and stone to build buildings. The problem is there's only a few buildings. This game is called Little Town. It's a little game. There's only so many buildings that are going to be built. The coins themselves to use other buildings, there's not many ways to get them. There's a building or two that gives you coins, that's it. So if you build for, let's say there's a building, for example, that gives coins. That is an amazing, wonderful building to the person who builds it. I won't say that it's a broken part of the game, because I don't know that I've played enough games to qualify that. But so far, every game I played, whoever built that building won. Because they got the coins, and then they could use other people's buildings, and gave those people coins, which then means those people can give the coins back and use them. But still, that gives you a leg up, because you get to use your own building to get coins for free. And then you can use other people's buildings willy-nilly. They have to wait to get the coins to use yours. And there's just not a lot of differentiation. All the buildings are get resources or change resources into points. So what it makes this game exciting? Well, the concept, like I said, where you place the worker and get the stuff around it. But that doesn't really change much over. Yes, each game is going to have a little bit of a different dynamic of this spot is cool because it gives you 2 wheat and this. But at the end of the day, you got to feed your people. You have to. You cannot afford to lose 3 victory points per worker not fed. That's crazy. But the game doesn't seem to have any huge dynamic. You're slowly adding more spots, so the board gets more interesting as the game goes by. And then it ends, and when it ends, my concern is if you ask me in a few months and say, how does Little Town play? I'll remember how to play. It's not that hard. And you say, so what's interesting about the game? And I would sit there and think, what is that fascinating about this game? Putting stuff out, it just doesn't stand out for me. And nowadays we're looking for games that stand out, and this one doesn't really do so. It has that cool concept, but I don't know that it was fully realized. It feels like that concept should be part of a slightly bigger game. The people that I played it with, and the people I even put on tables where I wasn't in and went and talked to those folks, the reactions were mixed. Some people liked it. Some people said, man, there was a few people who didn't like it. It was kind of all over the place. No one loved it, right? So there's that. But for me personally, on my thing, I just found it to be, oh, it was interesting. It was amusing. I didn't dislike it. But it's like, it's in my head. I'm like, oh, it's interesting, and then it floats away. And in an era now where we have thousands of games coming out every year, this is one, for me, at least in my mind, gets lost in the shuffle. Dice Tower Judgment, it's an okay worker placement game.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.